Hi, everyone. Welcome to A New Time for Other Ideas, my new podcast where we talk about entertainment, the tech behind entertainment, and the people behind all of it. So, today I have a very special guest, Jodie Bentley. She's an amazing person who does amazing things for actors, for producers. In fact, she wears all of those hats herself. She is the most badass woman in entertainment that I've ever met. And without further ado, let's get to it.
Hi. I love that intro. I'm going to take you with me everywhere. Thank you.
Right? I will just introduce you in every room and it will be lovely.
Perfect. I love it. Love
So
it.
anyway, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm a little tired, but I'm good.
Excellent. Well, we won't make you any more tired than we have to. Okay. So, you know what? Tell us a little bit about you. I know you do everything from acting, singing to producing to coaching to, and I've been lucky enough to be on the receiving end of your coaching, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But why on earth do you wear so many hats and what do you love about it?
One, I'm crazy. And two, it's awesome. No. I I I'm just interested in so many things, like I've always been, I was always a creative kid, I was always creative. I started acting when I was 10 and I loved that. But I also had this curiosity just for like business and growth and entrepreneurship and learning. Like I'm constantly reading like books, but like my bookshelf is not filled with novels by great authors. It's all like, how to be better in the world and how to do this and how to do that. Like I just love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I was again always been creative. But then there was a point in my acting career where I knew that something was missing and I needed to figure something out. So I literally like this was like I graduated NYU Tisch School of the Arts. I graduated a really good acting school, and like I floundered for a long time, like did not get where I wanted to go. And then I really had this like moment of like, it's business. I don't get the business. I don't understand business. And so I literally like read every freaking business book that I could get my hands on, like everything, like about sales, about branding. I read, Zig Ziglar, like I read everybody. I was like, I'm just
So
gonna read
fun.
everything. But that changed my acting career. It changed my whole career trajectory. It changed my life. Because that's when I really started taking like real world business fundamentals and going, how can I apply it to a person, to an actor, to an artist? And that's when my whole, coaching business took off. And then, my love of learning kept going, which brought me into developing a software 2 years ago, and into more things. So yeah, so it's been a crazy journey, but there's days, where I'm like, what am I doing? Like,
Right.
and for Ellie, I'm like tired. I wish I could have just one thing and come home and have dinner with my husband and a cocktail and watch TV. Like that would be nice.
Like a
And
normal person.
right. And then I'm like, well, what would I give up? And I like sit with it, and the answer is always nothing.
Right.
So then the question is, how do I balance it? How do I do this? And
Right.
still have a life, friends, and husband.
Which is shocking that you can pull all of that off. I mean, you help so many people on a regular basis, and it's interesting the concept of normal, right? I think there's
Right.
there's
Totally.
not a whole lot of normal going on right now, especially in entertainment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think how does that make your job a little more challenging in terms of coaching? Are you getting the backlash of all of this kind of upheaval in the system of entertainment right now coming at you, or are you trying to like sort of get under it, or how are you approaching that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, last year was definitely challenging, right? I mean, we were in our strikes for 7 months and could feel the actors who are my clients, getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter about just the state of the industry, their place in it, financial repercussions of it all. So, I mean, I definitely last year had a couple months myself of like, what is happening? Like
Right.
drinking a little too much wine and trying to, self-soothe. And then there came a point of like, okay, well, look, this no one ever said the entertainment industry was easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's never been a point where it's been easy. No one chose to be in this industry because they thought it was going to be easy.
Right.
Right. I mean, actors know what they're getting into, producers know what they're getting. We know what we're getting into.
Mhm.
But I just think change is hard for everybody.
It is always in any regard, right? I mean, but do we know what we're getting into anymore? Is that, are these rules still applicable
Sure.
to the environment? I mean, that's a real good question, right? Is it
Right.
still that way? Are we still following the same rules? Do we need a new standard? What does that look like?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I don't think we're following the same rules. And I think this change is particularly hard. Um, because there is, well, but I mean, that's life, right? There is no clear end game yet. We don't know where AI is going to end up. We don't know how these studios' business models are going to change. We don't know what Netflix is going to do next month. Like, we don't know. And they probably don't know because they're adapting to the new landscape as well. So then, as actors, too, feeling like at the whim of all of this,
Mhm.
it feels even, I think, more chaotic than
Right.
normal, you
Yeah,
know?
I feel the same way a little bit about it. I think there's a lot of directions being approached in every different way, right?
Yeah.
Producers, actors, these people. Technology is another really big, important part of that. And I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of fear in the industry about AI and about, how it's going to affect everything.
Yeah.
But in fairness, the rest of society, right, did not get a warning label on that one either. So, but what is the climate of that? Are people really actually as frightened as it's being sort of claimed that they are, right, in the media? Or is it really like a less important symptom of a bigger problem?
Mhm. No, my experience is people are scared. I think it's a big thing. Well, I think there's like a couple different camps of thinking, right? It's like, I mean, I'm definitely worried for my, even like if I'm just looking at me as an actor, right? Because I have like wearing the different hats, I can have different
Right.
opinions, right? But looking at me as an actor, am I worried? Sure. Do I think real live filmmaking or TV production is going to go away? No. Will studios eventually, or maybe they're already building them, we don't know, have their own AI divisions? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen.
Right.
So, will there be both art being created? Sure. So, are my jobs going away? No. Will there be less of them? Probably. But
Right.
again, like back to my first thought of the business has always been hard. How do you break through the noise? How do you get known? How do you, get meet the people you need to see? How do you create your own opportunities? All those things are still applicable. They still apply.
Right. Well,
So
humans are always going to be a part of this, right? That is
right.
just
Like the humanity is not going to go away. And
right.
you know what? And who knows? Who knows what happened in 50 years? But I don't see that happening now. I really don't. I think audiences are certain audiences are savvy. They want humanity. We crave that. We crave the nuance of the human condition.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's going away. I think there is a lot of doom and gloom and fear mongering about it out there, which doesn't help the situation,
Right.
at all. But I'm really trying to, like you said, moving through my
Mhm.
business and coaching last year, I'm really trying to take like a 10,000 foot view of everything as much as I can.
Right.
Because like when we're in it and seeing it, that's when the like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm gonna leave, or I don't have a place here anymore. So I'm really trying to see a bigger picture for my clients and for myself. Um,
Right.
to not fall into the abyss of despair.
Yeah, I mean it is easy to do too. Especially if you're sort of paying attention to one source of information or information as it were, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of distrust all over the place, but
Yeah.
in Hollywood particular, right?
Yeah.
There are people who are celebrities, right? And then there are people who are genuine working actors.
Right.
There are background actors, there are commercial actors. There are 8
Yeah.
billion different ways to approach this industry. I don't
Right.
think any of them are the same as they were a week ago today.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
it's kind of this ever evolving landscape. But how is that directly affecting like the literal everyday working actor in a way that is uncomfortable enough to strike and make it a big thing, about it?
Or was that really like not a totally popular moment in time?
Oh, no, I do think, and that's what I did love about our union at the moment of striking, right? Was I think we have to look where it's going, because if
Mhm.
we kept the blinders on to go, oh well, it's not really affecting me now, right? Like I'm still getting auditions. AI is not affecting my auditions, right? AI is not affecting me doing my self tape and getting in front of
Right.
the said producer. It's not affecting that.
It could enhance it. In fact, I mean, in ways, there are tools that can be applicable to, enhancing somebody's opportunities in that way.
Sure, sure. And then this is why I think we need to stay open, right?
Right.
And I think to navigate these waters right now, I think we have to stay curious and open and out of
Mhm.
fear, right?
Right.
Because look, as a business owner, I use AI tools to help run my
Right.
business, right? Why? Because they work. Why? Because
Right.
it's easier. And our culture has such an affinity for efficiency and things done
Hmm.
faster, right?
Hmm.
We can see it. Everything's been like since I was a kid, things have just sped up so much.
Right.
Is that a good thing? I don't know. It's probably why I'm tired. But like we're all tired and bombarded with information on our phones and everything at all times. But that's what our culture and our society has come, is about efficiency and doing things faster. So
Right.
if tools that allow that, as a human being, I'm going to use those tools.
Right. I agree. I agree with you on that. I mean, as you well know, I work heavily with AI,
Yeah.
in the effort to bolster the entertainment industry, not harm it, and
Right.
use this as a friend, not sort of reminds me of Finding Nemo, like fish are friends, not food. Right. But that kind of
I love that.
concept, if you approach it from an ally perspective, right, and don't overstep your assumptions or your bounds with the technology that we don't probably totally understand. I mean, we have AI people who are literally saying we don't totally know what this can do, right?
Right.
Which
Right.
is a little scary as just a human being in
Yes.
general. But there
Yes.
are still human beings behind the technology, which is the other thing we have to remember. But
Right.
how is this affecting the competitive landscape of the business as a working actor? Put on your actor hat at the moment, right?
Yeah.
How is that affecting things? Are people feeling invisible? What is social media and all of this technology influx doing
Yeah.
to that? Is it drowning out people who really mean it? Or,
Yeah.
what does that look like?
I mean, I think actors have always felt invisible. I know I felt invisible in this industry, for many years too. I think even, switching to during COVID and switching to only self-tape auditions, not really being able to go in the room, people felt invisible and their careers were submitting to the void, right? So
Right.
I think that feeling of I don't belong, I'm invisible, I can't get
Mhm.
seen is innate, unfortunately, in the artist. And I do think that I just think AI just elicits a fear. And I think people need to understand the benefit versus the fear, right? And I think that's why when the strikes happened and our contract came out, I think a lot of actors, there was a huge upheaval after that I was really shocked at, I'll have to say.
Yeah.
And and I think people deep down, and again, I'm projecting and making a huge generalization, right?
Mhm.
But I think that people deep down thought we were fighting AI and that,
Right.
oh, we won, right? We got what we wanted. And then they read the contract and no, but AI is still there. I
Mhm.
thought we beat AI, right? When you can't beat AI, like you're not going to
No,
beat it.
it
It's not going to go
exists.
away.
Right. It arguably exists, right? And
Right.
it is part of our now daily lives. And as a
Yeah.
business person, just as I do, that sometimes that's necessary.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to use AI the other day doing a proposal for something because I just ran out of time, and it was one of
Right.
those things.
Right.
But I mean, I actually spent a year training my own AI system to be an
Wow.
assistant for me, right? So it knows my speech patterns, it knows my syntax basically, and
Wow.
can write and sound exactly like me. It knows about my company, it knows about what I do, it knows about my acting, it knows about my producer stuff, it
Yeah.
knows everything. And that's creepy to an extent, right? It sounds a little creepy.
It's totally creepy, but deep down, I'm like, that's awesome.
Right? Exactly. And that's the thing. You end up at the end of the day, that inner geek comes out, right? And
Right.
it's like, okay, I was terrified of it too until I met my AI system, which I named Mac because I just thought, like, right after my uncle, which I don't know, he knew everything. So I figured, why not?
That's
So
funny.
Mac is an amazing like system for me, and it helps because even when I need information that I maybe don't know where to find,
Yeah.
I can access that through that system. And
Right.
our apps that we're creating right now, which are, the evil, the evil technology monster, are really there to help and bolster careers of actors and producers. And, I'm curious a little bit about how you feel about the current technological landscape in terms of, is it assisting actors to get things like, paying jobs? Is
Mm,
it assisting producers? Because there are so many independent producers out there, right?
right, of
There's
course.
a disconnect, I feel, in
Hmm.
in that actually. There's indie filmmakers with new ideas. There are
Right.
actors with capability. Then
Yeah.
there are big studios, right? And then there are, there's just all these categories, but none
Yeah.
of them talk.
Right.
So does that limit the opportunities available to people? Because, what we have, what Actors Access, Backstage, all
Right.
of these casting platforms, are
Right.
any of them doing the job that they need to be doing in the term of making actors feel seen, making producers have a knowledge that they require to actually
Right.
complete a project successfully? Is
Right.
any of that in existence?
No.
What's missing then?
Next question. I'm kidding.
No.
But it's, I mean, the current casting sites, and we know there's issues with the current casting sites, right? There's a lot of backlash going on right now about that, right? With actors having to pay money for all of these things. And the new sites are popping up owned by the same companies and people. Like there's
Right.
a lot going on right now. So it's a very hot button topic.
Yes.
But really, but then like when Actors Access was born,
They were
agent.
bicycle messengers then.
I know, right?
Sounds
Exactly.
like,
Back in the day, right? But like, breakdown services used to just be for agents and casting. And then when Actors Access was born, the agents were like, why are you letting my clients undermine me? Right? Technology evolving, giving actors opportunity, but then you're letting down one group of people. So I think when one group of people wins, unfortunately, the other one feels like they're losing, right? Because like if actors don't pay, if they go, okay, fine, actors won't pay for casting sites. Well, who's paying for it? The casting directors who are freelance,
right.
like actors
But
are,
it's
like,
trickle down, right? It's trickle
yeah,
down economics at its core, right?
yeah,
And if even
exactly.
if agents are paying, right, there, that translates into higher fees for
Correct.
actors.
Right. Someone's going to be come out of someone's pocket
Right.
somehow down the line will end up paying for it. So I think, people forget that part. But in terms of a platform or a space where actors can connect with producers or casting or this to feel like they're all working together. I mean, there's certain software that's been out for a while, like Stage 32, right? It's not a casting
Right.
site. You can connect with people,
Oh,
right?
I love Stage 32. I got a shout out to them. Jay Martin.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
they're
I got you.
they're they're great, right? But again, it's more of like, hey, let's network. Do you know what I mean? Like now I teach my clients, oh, you want to network with filmmakers, you got to get your butt to film festivals. You got to go see stuff. You got to get in front of them. You got to say hi, right? There's so much there's a lot of work to do
Mhm.
to bridge the gap, right? Or
Right.
else you're literally sitting in your house and complaining about it. So there's lots of action you can take, but it's time consuming action to
Right.
bridge the gap, to find the opportunities and find the connections.
And do you feel like that knowledge is readily available? I mean, are there are there really places you can go and get all those answers and learn that, and find out, what can I do? I mean, other than you. I mean, you're the only source I know of. I literally referenced you. In fact, I referenced your breakdown of all of the casting sites, right,
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
did, in a literal grant proposal the other day.
yeah.
Just so you
Amazing.
know, if the
Amazing.
Science Foundation, if the National Science Foundation like calls you, you'll know why. Um,
I'll keep a lookout.
Yeah, but I mean, you do that so thoroughly. I mean, which is incredible. And reading through that whole breakdown of all of these options, right, and how to make them useful,
Yeah.
felt like, oh my, right? Like I don't,
Yeah.
and I personally, I'm on Actors Access as well. I was put there by my manager, all these things, but all I'm hearing lately is I don't have any opportunities. I'm disappearing in the mix.
Right.
All of this kind of like, what do I do? What do I do? Who's going to
Yeah.
tell me what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And is there a really good answer to that question? I mean, again, other than you, I would recommend everyone who has those questions, please visit Jody because she does have the answers. But I mean, you created software to assist in the business of acting, and what propelled you to do that? Obviously there was a need for it, right?
Yeah, it was all selfish. Everything I've ever created for actors is literally selfish because it's what I wanted and what I needed. Do you know what I mean?
Right. But because you've lived it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right. And I think there's an element of that that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, because like I said, I've always, been creative, but had this like business wherewithal and mindset. And, I think a lot of actors don't. And there's no judgment in that, right? We're right-brained creatures who wanted to be actors and artists, right? Of course, there's no judgment in that. But when you decide that you want to do this as a career and not just a hobby, you got to switch that business hat on, or else it's going to feel awful. It's going to feel chaotic. It's going to feel like you're not getting anywhere fast. And you're at the whim of the industry. And that is the worst place to be, right?
Right.
So, there was a time where like I knew it was about relationships. I knew I had to track all these things and I was trying to do spreadsheets, but then I wasn't following up because everything was buried in a freaking spreadsheet. And then I would try like CRMs that businesses use. And I was like, well, I'll morph this for my acting career. But then it wouldn't like be right. And I didn't like the aesthetic of it. And it didn't track auditions the way I wanted it to. It was weird. So I tried everything for years and I always had this idea in my head of, God, I wish I could create something. I wish I could create something. And I was like, well, I don't know any developers, blah, 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 right? All the stories that we tell ourselves of, no, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Then the pandemic hit and I was like, well, now's the time to do this.
Right.
Now's the time. Let's do it. So I found a developer and we launched the Actors Office.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally everything I've ever wanted in a software. And again, the reason why I started, Ellie, which is I know why you do what you do, is to make things easier. It's just to make things easier, make it more efficient, take the busy work out of it, right? Our software is extremely intuitive. And like, I just wanted actors to feel like, oh, I can put my stuff in. You remind me to follow up. I can track and run all these reports on my business. Like you get to know those things. You get to know your stats, or else it just feels like, well, I've had some auditions this year and I didn't book any. Okay, so what's not working? You got to figure out what's not working.
Right.
Or what is working.
I want to talk about that. The red hair story versus the brown hair.
Right.
You're the most like introspective person I've encountered in this entire industry, I think. And I think what's unique about that is you share it. I mean, maybe at your own expense, maybe not. Maybe it's therapeutic.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind sharing it at all.
But it resonates in that way because you're talking about, how, I realized that I shouldn't be a redhead, right? Because that's not how I'm going to get cast right now.
Well, the stats were telling me, right? In the industry trends and my stats were telling me this is not working.
Right. Because no one person can really know all of those things, right?
Right.
You kind of need a collective system in that way. And once you realize that, what did it do for you? And like, why did you choose then to share that with literally everyone saying, okay, see, I'm a fake brunette. Like, I don't know. Why would you say that publicly? Like, what was the purpose?
I mean, look, I always have this, one of my deep values is belonging. And I always want to feel like I belong. And I never felt like I did as a kid, which I think is why it's so like a big value of mine. And I think when people decide to be artists and decide to be actors, there's this thing of like, they want to belong, but they don't feel like they belong in some part of their lives. And then it's hard to break through. So they don't feel like they belong in this industry. And I think I've always made it part of my journey, part of my teachings, to share my struggles and to share what I've learned, and to, you know, be vulnerable and be honest about it, because we're all the same. Like, there's so many similarities among people, and how we think, and the stories we create, and our deep fears. Like, we all have those things. And sometimes I feel like, especially if someone is like, oh, this is a person I'm learning from, she's a teacher, or we look at social media and we see the nice shiny products that people put out there, we forget the humanity of it, right? And that people are real, and they've had stories, and they've had journeys, and our journeys are similar, or our stories could be similar. So I've always been wanting to be honest and share every, you know, I mean, you could go online and read everything about me.
Yes,
right?
you can. I mean, I've done it, actually. I mean, I know that your dog, Tater Tot, right?
Yes.
I know about that. You know, that's a lot to know about a person just from online, right? Like, I know about all of those things. And I know I'm a dog person. I like dogs better than people, so I get it.
We had 3 dogs at one point, so yeah, we're big people.
I have 2 now, and they're crazy. But yeah, a border collie and a French bulldog, of course, because I have to get dogs that could outsmart me. But
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, we have to adapt as actors, as producers, as industry professionals. But are we seeing that adaptation really be full across the industry, or is there resistance to this right now?
Yeah. No, I still think there's definitely resistance. And people get to move through it. Like, they'll come to it in their own time. You know, and I think there'll be things people will hate about it, and there's things I hate about it, right? I mean, like, just, you know, the whole Tyler Perry article that dropped with him, you know, pausing the $800 million expansion on his studios after seeing an AI video software, right? Like, that hurts my heart as an actor and an artist to go, but you support actors and artists, and then at the same time, he's also a business owner, right? And like, oh, I can produce more content and save money. Like, it's so, and this is where I feel like sometimes I'm caught in the middle, because I wear these hats. Do you know what I mean?
You are. I mean, in all honesty, you are caught in the middle, as am I, and that's real.
Yeah. But you know, it's hard. Like, you know, I know we've or I was reading your questions ahead of time, and I know we've talked about this ahead of time of you know, AI and casting, and like, you know, AI could search for, oh, I want someone with blue eyes, and you know, who's 5'2", or, and I'm doing my own casting, blue eyes and 5'2" and brunette, right? In her 40s, great. You know, and part of me goes, oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Then the other part of me as an actor goes, oh my God, Dustin Hoffman never would have booked The Graduate if they looked for what they wanted. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that's like, I think why I think people are still afraid is because of things like that. If anyone feels like, ooh, that's going to cost me an opportunity, I'm going to miss opportunities. But we also tend as humans to focus on the lack, right? What that could also do is open up a shit ton of other possibilities.
Right. And that shit ton is really big, right?
Yeah.
Really big. I mean, if, for example, all right, instead of just searching for someone to cast, right?
Yes.
Unrepresented actors could feel represented through AI. There could be a personalization element to that, right? That guides you through that branding process that you teach beautifully. That, you know, doesn't replace somebody like you, and doesn't replace a casting director, but does connect those pieces for an actor and a casting director. Maybe this person, maybe Dustin Hoffman would be found right in that way. Maybe there are diamonds in that rough, right, that are not getting seen because of the inundation. Right, like, there's an inundated mess of like people between social media influencers and actors, and people who wake up one day and think they're an actor, which is a lot of them. And you know, and then there's people who wake up and think they're producers, and all of these people are trying to like go for the same thing, right? At the end of the day, we're all just trying to create art.
Yeah.
but we're forgetting about that because there's this whole weird processy thing that there's no real guidance on, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's convoluted and it's crazy and it's hectic, and you said chaotic.
Yeah.
You know, so how are you helping that? I know you are, because I've experienced it, right? So how are you kind of trying to quell the the chaos in that way?
Yeah, well, it's like even just talking about casting right now, like, oh my, I'll miss opportunities, right? But an actor might feel like, oh, but I submitted myself on Actors Access, so I'll get seen. Okay, but casting directors can have any search functionality that they want on the back end. They could only look for actors at Abrams Artists, or A3, whatever. They could only look for actors from the 5 top agencies that they love. They could filter things however they want, right? We just don't know it. So now we're being privy to how something can work, and we go, oh wait, that's that, right? But everyone's going to run their business the way they're going to run our business. As an actor, I can't dictate how someone's going to run their business. So I think how I'm sort of quelling it is saying things like that, or like, hey, this has been going on already, right? Like I said, when we started talking, like, you didn't become an actor because it was easy. The industry's always been hard, and it has different phases of that throughout the years, throughout the decades.
And there's no AI that can fix lack of talent. Just pointing that out. I'm just pointing that out.
Ellie for the truth bomb. Ellie for the truth bomb.
I gotta say it, I mean, if you are not a good actor, there is no way to fix that using AI. Okay.
Right. But there could be a self-tape editing software.
But then you'd get there and they'd know. So.
Right. Exactly. I just think what I've been trying to do, again, for my clients and for myself, if I start to feel the panic, is just like, look at the big vision of the industry, right? And again, and take that 10,000-foot view and go, okay, yeah, this is happening and I'm feeling feelings about this, but a casting director could filter out my self-tape and never see it. Do you know what I mean? Like for each thing, you can actually pinpoint something that's already happening now, when people were mad when like film festivals went online, it's like, okay, but they could actually show more films online, and your film could actually get
and more people
as opposed
to
to not. Right.
Yeah. There is an element of this that is not evil, right? And I think we can agree on that. I think that there's a lot of fear, and reasonably so. I don't think we fully understand it. I think it blew up before we really knew what was going on. And all of a sudden, everybody had AI, and it was like, but we had it all along, as you pointed out. And, I think we kind of need to move on and realize that at the end of the day, there is still a human being at the other end of that, right? So, like, nobody's suggesting that AI is going to cast movies independently, and like do all this crazy stuff. But what if it could bring opportunities? What if it could bring new talent? What if it could bring in new ideas that you're not finding because of those filters on your searches? Because, you have this sort of weird funnel vision, thing where you're going from here to like all the way down to, okay, I'm just going to look for William Morris, right? Like that's
right.
And also on that agent end, right? Our agents so inundated with talent that people aren't getting represented, that there are opportunities being overlooked or circular filed, right? Is that happening? And is it really affecting everyone, but just nobody's willing to have the conversation?
Right. Yeah, sure. I mean, look, we don't know there was this thing that just came out. Oh, geez, did you hear about the scandal in the UK over self-tapes? Right? Where agents were like, oh, you got an audition, but they didn't, just to make the like that's like, oh God, like what else? And this is where I think the fear comes in, Ellie, is that there are so many unknowns, right? But I think this blow up of AI also happened when we just started negotiating our contracts, right? So it felt like these two worlds collided at the same time. And I think that was a lot to process, right? I think we knew it was coming, but just to see like it really like butt heads all at the same time, I think was hard. So I think people are now in a very black and white view, right? Oh no, I want no AI, or the whole world is going to be AI, and look how awful that's going to be, But like even my example of, okay, so AI does filters, right? To find actors, Dustin Hoffman with The Graduate. But if a casting director is still running that and is still head of that project, they're going to have their short list of actors and go, you know what? Oh, no, Ellie could be a really interesting choice for this. Let's bring her in as well. It doesn't fit the breakdown, but let's bring that. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's finding the balance of
Right.
how we are going to be using this software, what's the benefit in the software, and what's the protections around AI for artists. And I do think we did a pretty good job in our contract, not knowing where it's going, of giving ourselves a foundation of protections. Will we need to renegotiate? Of course we will. Will things be shifting and changing? Of course they are. We have no idea, right? But I think it
Right.
is finding protections around this and
Well,
sanctions.
yeah, that's really important. And creative content too.
Yes.
You can't, you can't risk your creative content. Like
Yeah.
you should own what you do, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. And I guess that's the
And
concern.
they did then. I feel like they did that,
Mhm.
So again, I think I just think we get to embrace what it is, and go, okay,
Right.
and now how do I feel about this? What's my place in this? How can
Mhm.
I use this? And what are my boundaries with this? What are my limitations with this?
Right.
And I think there's still, a lot to be put in place around that, but
I
I think
agree.
moving in that, yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. I mean, I think regulatory processes absolutely, anything that is going to monitor this situation is obviously necessary. I
Yeah.
mean, I also think creative content can be, shared and denied sharing, right?
Mhm.
Through that kind of system with watchdog stuff, playing out. And there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of benefits, but it's terrifying. And I do this like every day. I mean, I had no idea what Python code was until, a year ago. Just saying. But I too hired developers and did the thing because
Yeah.
I wanted to solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to watch less pain happening.
Yeah.
I wanted people to have opportunities, and AI does not care who you are. It does not know that you are famous or not famous or like whatever.
Right.
It doesn't care. You could be the freaking Queen of England, right? It doesn't care. It's still going to equalize you with somebody with the same attributes. And this kind of goes back to that whole red hair story too,
Right.
that you changed your hair color because that was what was desirable. Right. So AI sees you as a redhead, then as a brunette, right? Equalizes you with all of those people that you were watching on those shows while you were figuring that out.
Yeah.
And that is kind of brilliant in the weirdest of ways, because it's again removing the human element from it.
Right.
But based on your qualifications, wouldn't you want a better chance to be able to be seen? And that's the question, really.
Yeah. Well, I think any actor wants a better chance to be seen, of course. Right? I didn't become an actor to sit in my office.
Right. You became an
and hope
actor.
and pray. Right. It became, to connect, to act, to be on set, to meet people, to find the opportunities, collaborate, and I think that's where I think actors are feeling like the rug was pulled out from under them, starting with COVID, right? I mean, it's been one thing after the other.
Right.
Like, let's be honest, you know what I mean? Of like, oh, now I can't connect. Now I can't collaborate. Oh, now I'm on set, but I have to wear a mask and stay over here. Now, you know what I mean? Where the whole camaraderie and connection and why we got into the business seemed to be taken away for some reason. And
Yes.
now the advent of technology of going, oh God, now I'm going to be replaced. And now,
right.
All they want is my image and they'll pay me for that. Then I go home. So I understand what with the fear behind that, or the not even the fear. I just think the sadness. I think there's just a lot of sadness in artists right now.
Right. And I think that's maybe more mourning the old way of doing everything than it is anything else. I think people are like, but Hollywood and dreams and but that's real. But dreams should come back. Right? Dreams should come back. You should be able to dream. You should be able to dream of achieving your goal, right? And that's also important.
Well, I think it goes back to what we were just saying at the very beginning about change is inevitable and change is hard, right? Just on a human level. So the morning is the career shifting. Can you even imagine what they did when, films went from color, I mean, from black and white to color, or from, to
Or
sound to
had
talk?
sound.
Yeah, like I mean, my God, like that's a huge. We've had, or when 3D films, we started shooting in 3D and thought that was going to take over everything, and normal films would go away. No, it didn't. Now they both exist. So we've had these moments in our history in this
Right.
business. But I do
Sure,
think you're right
streaming
that
networks were a big one.
right. Oh my God, of course. Right. But I do think you're right that there is a mourning. And I find that my clients who are still mourning and just go, I just want to get in the room again. It's like, okay, you got to move past that. Like, we got to move past that. I hope that that's the case. And hopefully with callbacks, that'll be the case. But all my callbacks have been on Zoom. Like, they've all been on Zoom.
Right.
So, and some are in the I had, some commercial stuff. I've been having callbacks in
But
person.
did that change? I mean, that changed, right? That changed for you. It changed for
Yeah.
everyone, where
Yeah.
you are no longer standing in that line. You are no longer walking in that room.
Right.
Everything's done online. And maybe there's a benefit to that because you're seeing and also meeting with people who aren't in the same state, city, whatever, as
Sure.
you. It broadened the playing field, but is that also dangerous, right?
Right. Well, then there's more people, right, vying
Right.
for
So
the
there's
role.
competition.
But, I don't have to drive to Santa Monica and be in traffic for like 2 hours there, 2 hours back for a 3-minute commercial audition. Yeah, I'm
Which
gonna
is
do it.
environmentally friendly. There we go.
Correct. There's many benefits to that.
Right.
There's many benefits to that.
So what would your best advice to, okay, say somebody looking to get into this industry as a new actor,
Yeah.
right? What would you say to them about what's going on right now?
I mean, I would have them listen to this podcast.
Here's all the bullshit.
Yeah, here you go. This is what's happening. Give you the truncated version. Here's what's going on. But it's, I mean, honestly, it's not, well, okay. I have like multiple thoughts running through my head at the moment. It's not much different than what I would normally say, but with a caveat. And I would say, look, again, no one said this business was easy, but you can achieve success and you can do it with ease, right? I know that. I've proven that. And focus on what you can control. You gotta focus on what you can control. So if you want to do this as a career, control why you're doing it. Why are you an actor? Why are you an artist? Why are you in this industry? Know that and have that be your driving force and driving vision, or else it's too hard. And then really focus on what you can control. Understand how you're perceived. Understand the stories you want to tell, your brand. Get your tools in alignment so everyone goes, oh, I get it. I get who you are, right? Know how to sell yourself. Know how to pitch yourself. Get a good team. Once you have all that, you can get the good agent to sell you. But you got to focus on what you can control. Because if you're constantly trying to go, oh, but mad at that and blaming this and blaming the industry and blaming everybody around you, it is not going to be fun and you're going to go nowhere fast.
Right.
So you gotta build your business smartly because you are a business owner now. And I'm not trying to take away the craft. We need the craft. We need to have it balanced. We need the art there. Like you said, it's not gonna, AI can't make you a better actor, right? So you need to work on the craft and have that. But if you really want to do this, you got to get serious and have your business systems in place and focus on what you can control.
Well, that convinced me that I'm going to rename the branding portion of my system, the Jody Bentley branding, and absolutely have you as a consultant on that. So anyway.
Perfect. Done.
Right? Exactly. I mean, what could be more obvious? Yeah, no, it's brilliant, right? Like, people are people. And if you love what you do, it matters. It shows. And that still is true. And people need to remember that, right? What about producers? Like, how, what would you tell them? Like, 'cause this is a lot too, right? People are like, oh, stock footage, AI can create.
I know.
Don't do it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm coming at it right now too from a writer standpoint because I just finished my script and I'm in rewrites now, and I have a producer investor who could potentially put money in, and it's like, God, I need to get I need to get this plan in my ducks in a row so this person feels like, hey, it's going to be worth this investment, right? Because yes, there's a whole boom of indie film right now. But how are we getting the money to do it? How are we making sure it's distributed? How are we making sure we're going to make our money back? Right. So there's a lot of those things to think about.
That is so true. 82% of independent filmmakers do not make like anywhere close to their money back on most projects, which is
Right.
really terrifying amount of people.
Yeah, I've been one of them.
Yeah, no, me
I've
too.
definitely
I
been
have
one of
I
them.
have as well. And it's really funny because you can think that you've checked every box, right? As a producer or a writer even,
Yeah.
and still not have.
Yeah, right.
But because I think everything changes, it evolves, right? So we don't always know exactly what we need to do, but there are so many people, again, back to the waking up and deciding that you're a film producer. Maybe not the best tactic, but I mean, I went to school for this. You went to school for this. Like, get the education. Don't buy a camera. Learn. Right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's
Right.
at the end of the day, really still back to the human element of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible. So leave this with one huge big thing that anybody in the entertainment industry, whether they be a producer, a casting agent, an actor, what would you want somebody to have told you about what was happening now
Mm.
if you had that choice? If you could go back in time and somebody could warn you, what would you want them to say? I know. I went off book and that.
Oh no, it's good. No, I love it.
I
I got really introspective here on this.
mm-hmm. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. The first thing I heard in my head was like, don't lose your heart.
Uh-huh.
And of like, remember why you love this, right? Because
Mhm.
everything's going to be hard, right? Life is hard. How many challenges are we thrown just as freaking human beings in this world? And how much trauma do we all experience, right? And loss. But like, if you like, yes, we're going through a huge change right now, but like, know it's in your heart. Know the stories that you want to tell. Know why you're doing this. Know why you must do this, whatever that is in this industry. Why are you a storyteller? We're all storytellers, connected by nature. So why, what are those stories? And know that your voice matters and your POV matters, and it will still matter no matter what tech is being thrown at you, right? That's the heart. That's the heart of
Right.
this industry.
That is so true. And I would add to that even like see other people, hear other people also, because there are so many beautifully talented individuals in this world, right?
Yeah.
Not all of them need to be on screen for sure. Back to the
Sure.
AI can't fix bad acting, but it's so true. If you love what you do, wouldn't you want to just continue to love it? And if you stop loving it, I learned this from you. Reassess that situation.
Yeah.
Figure out what's wrong, what's missing, what you don't know.
Yes. Yes. Because look, if it's in your heart to still do this business with everything going on, wonderful, right? But you got to know that, and you got to love it. You got to love it. Because there's a place. Again, we all belong. There's a place.
Right. And we all did this because we love it, right?
Yeah.
It's for the love of the craft. That's it. At the end of the day, you do this because you want to do it. But if you stop wanting to do it, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay, now I'm going to give you this last part to just pitch everything that you ever do.
Oh, God.
And tell everybody how awesome you are, because honestly, this woman, right, like, is why I am who I am right now. Oh, my
God.
And I genuinely mean that. You gave me the courage to branch out, to look at this as something that was broader than just, I have to be an actor, I have to be a producer, I have to be a writer. I didn't need those labels per se anymore, because you told me that was okay. And I think for anybody who wants to look at this industry with that big perspective of what do I see from the outside in, this is the woman who can get you there.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you. I don't
Yeah.
think I have to say anything after that.
No,
You
just
know?
continue. Just ride that wave and sell yourself like big and hard because it's worth it. It's worth it.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, look, if you're an actor, an artist, and you're, you've been struggling or hitting your wall or not, feeling like you're living up to your potential and something's missing, just go to my website. It's actor-insider.com.
I will include the link in the.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually changed my company name this year because I was so moved through the strikes and everything about the coming together and the belongingness. I'm talking about my value of belonging, of realized like my coaching business was just Jody Bentley career coach for so long, even though like I built this, 6-figure business in 17 countries. And I'm like, okay, I'm more than just, a coach, a career coach. Like,
It's sort of like feeling like
services.
using a Gmail when you're not.
Right. I know. I'm like, what is happening? And so I renamed it to Actor Insider because I want people to feel like they're on the inside. I want them to feel like they belong. And I know that's what I do for my clients. So look, just go to my website. You can read how to work with me. There's a ton of free stuff on my homepage. Check out my blog, check out my videos, download my ebooks and things. Start there, just be part of my community and look, reach out. I'm here. And if you're an actor who needs some software to track their relationships and auditions, go to the actor's office. It's freaking brilliant if I do say so myself. And
it is brilliant.
Thank you. So you can get a month free trial and go on the website there and test that out.
Very cool. Do you have any cool stuff coming up like in the next
I do. I do. Actually, we've just started promoting it yesterday, March 18th through 22nd. This is 2024. I will be doing a free 5-day training called Book More and Hustle Less. Every day is a new topic: branding, marketing, finances, productivity, sales. We're covering it all. It's completely free. I'm super psyched about it because I feel like this is what actors need right now. I feel like they're struggling and getting a little grass is always greener with everyone else. And I think because the industry has been slow. So I'm always about focus on what you can control. So this is what the training is going to be about. So yeah, it's a free 5-day training starting March 18th.
And I will be there. Like I will be there because I just can't get enough of you. And honestly, as an actor, right? And I'll put on my actor hat in the moment. If you feel like you aren't seen and you want to feel seen, this woman will make you feel seen. And that is important to people. And you are just a force of nature, I swear. It's incredible. And I really have like so much to thank you for because you gave me courage and you do that for people. And that's a really important thing. Personally want to thank you. And I'm really pleased everyone check her out because it's so worth it. And so necessary because humans are good. Humans are good, right? We still need humans. Nobody's trying to take your job here. So there you go. I just want to thank you so much for being here with me. This was beautiful conversation and I seriously hope people come check you out because we need more of positive reinforcement, and you provide that and that's brilliant. So, and the software too, also brilliant. She wears all these brilliant hats. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Secretly also make you jealous, but it's fine. Again, still worth it. Just saying. So yes, thank you, Jody. It was lovely talking to you.